Right, hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins. I'll smash through a few of them in one video, and I suppose if you're part of my Telegram chat, you'll know the sort of coins that I've been following and playing with recently. But we're going to have a bit of an overview of the market as well. So we're going to have to look at Bitcoin for that, and Ethereum. We're also going to have a look at the dollar index, the DXY. So there's a few things, a few variables as to how this is going to play out for Bitcoin in the short term, which will then correlate to what's going to go on with alts in the short term. But long term, everything looks pretty good to go as far as altcoins are concerned. Bitcoin dominance continuing to fall. So for the moment, the trend is our friend, and the trend is clearly down for Bitcoin dominance, which means that the gains are still in play with some of these epic alts that we've got playing here: SXP, FET AI, and Binance Coin, which leads me on to how my bot's doing at the moment. It's just peaking at around what's this? How much am I getting on? Close to 25%, but the good news is I've now made 24,500. I haven't made that. I started with 1,200. So my goal, my personal goal, my last goal anyway, is to reach the 30,000 mark. Getting ever closer to that, because it was only a few, maybe at the beginning of the week actually. I was only at 20,000, so it's roaring at the moment. It's really ripping, and a lot of that is thanks to Binance Coin, which is where most of my profit has been made in those bots. Well, anyway, I'll leave the bots alone. We can talk about bots another time. So let's have a look at Bitcoin. Actually, we'll start with the dollar index. This is the foundation of today's video, I suppose. But I won't go into too much detail about it because it's really boring. But the thing is, what we're looking at here is we're looking at a basic progression all the way up to this top zone here of basically, where are we here? 91.6. Now we've been talking about that for a little while. I've not looked at the dollar for maybe a couple of weeks now, but this was basically the area where I'd expect to see rejection. But this is the first level of rejection. There's a chance that we break into this zone, and obviously if we did, we'd come up into these zones here. It could end up being relatively nasty. This is the trajectory, roughly speaking, and so it would suggest that we're in an upwards trend, and we're going to continue with that upwards trend until we reach this level and see if we do get a significant rejection. When I don't pay too much attention to politics and all these sort of things, but the idea is, the concept is that if a stimulus bill, a large one, a really large one like the one that's being proposed, is actually passed, then this dollar index will just fall back into the ground, but all the way back down to the 80s, all right? And then it probably wouldn't stop there. It would end up going further and further down. It would appear that they're deliberating about doing something like that, because they know the impact it'll have on the dollar, and having too much of a negative impact on the dollar for a prolonged period of time is going to be bad for the economy overall. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place with this kind of decision. So at the moment, it makes sense that they can deliberate for a little longer, while it allows at least for the dollar to increase in value before its inevitable move back down. So that's all very well and good, and actually, it's interesting to see how this is playing out, because this is still moving up as our altcoins are moving up, as Bitcoin's going down. So there's not an enormous direct correlation with it at the moment. But if the dollar were to break into this box and start to move up to the next area of significant resistance, it's still that would be a big move, and that probably would have a direct impact on Bitcoin. Now, I don't want to scare you, but I'm just going to show you something very briefly, and I'll just get my 200 exponential moving average on. So this is a monthly time frame, all right? So this is the dollar, the last big move up and the last big move back down. And where was that? That was January 2018. So that was basically when cryptocurrency had reached its peak, and there's no, I suppose, there's no coincidence that the crypto was rallying. Bitcoin made a massive all-time high as the dollar was dying off. So it's a similar kind of vibe going on here. We're rallying up. Bear in mind, right, this is a higher low. We've not made a new low yet. This technically is a consolidation from this rally. This is a significant bounce, and now we're looking at a multi-year low again. So it stands to reason that if there were to be an area it would bounce there. Now we have broken above the 200 exponential on the monthly, but not too fussed about that for the moment. Like I say, I don't want the dollar to die, even though it would be good for all of us in cryptocurrency land. It would have a really bad impact on Americans and people around the world. So I don't want the currency to die off just because it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be a good future for this generation coming up to have a dollar much lower than this for a prolonged period of time. But I think it is inevitable, unfortunately. So it's having a little rally. Anyway, that was really boring. Let's have a look at some cryptocurrency. So we've spoken about Bitcoin dominance already coming down, and my expectation is that if we come down to this zone here, this is a multi-year support trend line. We would likely catch a bounce, which means that Bitcoin could end up gaining strength against altcoins. However, if it did break down from there, it would be amazing. It would be phenomenal. The alt moves at that point would be probably hard to even imagine at this level now. We think we're in an alt season now. Clearly we are in an alt season, but if that level were to break down, then alt season would go into turbo overdrive. But let's not speculate to thinking about, or if that that is going to happen. We'll talk about it when it does happen, or if it does happen. For the moment, it's still a support trend line, so support is support. So we'll assume first of all that we will bounce from here. But we assumed that when we came down to here, we were supported from it, I suppose, but it broke down, and we also assumed that when we came to here, and it broke down from there. So we can assume that, but who knows what will happen from there if it breaks down. Now, we were talking about it live on my Patreon live stream last night. If you want to join that, £7.50 a month, you get access to 2 live streams a week. You can ask me any question you like, but one of the things we were talking about towards the end of the stream was, how do we know when alt season's over? And in my opinion, there's two main things to look at. Well, 3 things really, but I think the most important thing would be to find out if Ethereum's trend has ended. So Ethereum, we can chart this in a few different ways, but for me, one of the best ways to at least know if it's ended and waiting for a new trend to begin would be using the Ichimoku cloud. At the moment we're still good. If this Chiku span touches the price action, that would be one opportunity to, I suppose, get out and start to maybe think about at least taking profit or scaling into Bitcoin. Might be a bit of an early indicator, as it's only a single one. Secondly would be the conversion baseline cross here, and thirdly would be closing below the center of the Bollinger Band. So there's a few things that we need to look at, but essentially the bottom line is we need Ethereum to be strong and healthy. It doesn't have to be continually rallying. It doesn't have to do that. It just needs to continue with its trend. It can cool off like it's done recently, have another little move up, cool off. That would be the perfect situation for it, because it would allow for alts to do much bigger moves than Ethereum, for instance, while Ethereum maintains its healthy uptrend. The second thing is obviously correlation of Bitcoin dominance, so we need Bitcoin dominance to continue to make lower lows and lower highs. That would be good. But that means we need to look at Bitcoin as well. So if Bitcoin really does start to rally again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of alt season. Bitcoin can rally all it likes, so long as it doesn't impact the Bitcoin dominance chart. So there's all those things to think about, when it comes to, is alt season coming to an end? In my experience, alt season comes to an end really abruptly anyway, but for the moment I don't think that's likely to happen. We do have the Ethereum chart to look at, so it's not going to be as swift and as abrupt as it has been in the past, where Bitcoin just goes, right, that's it, I've had enough and I'm going. Ethereum is taking the lead, and it's leading the way for all the alts, so the health of Ethereum, we all very much depend on that. So let's have a quick look at SXP then. So SXP reached our first resistance zone. Did I just shift that box ever so slightly? I did. It's only a rough area, but it corresponds to where we had a bit of trouble before we had the big launch. It also corresponds to where we got stuck in here, these resistances here. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So breaking above here would, in my opinion, really start to make some big moves. Hopefully there will be stair steps up. We don't want to see parabolic moves up, because it basically means a very strong chance of an enormous collapse. But I'm very happy with the way that this is shaping up. We broke above here pretty easily. This wasn't really a great deal of a support trend line or a resistance. It just corresponds to when we came onto the market. Now essentially we're going into the next phase, which is a strong level of resistance here. And I'm not particularly expecting this to break as fast as this one did. Or this one really. This one I think will keep us down for a little bit longer, and we'll probably consolidate around this zone until at least the moving averages catch up with us. That's how I'd like to see it. That's what I would expect to see. So yeah, probably a retracement here, but who knows? It is going to super turbo bull mode, and it is SXP, so it's one of the big boys coins. It's backed by the big players. So we'll see how it shapes up. But in an ideal world, we would want this price action to come down and retest the moving averages, or should I say, we'd like the moving averages to catch up with the price action. That's probably the better way to. That would be the better expectation, because we don't want to dump down into these zones. We want these zones to come up and catch and catch up with the price action. So it's still bullish in my opinion, but this is the resistance, and it'll be a strong one at that. And breaking above here would be pretty exciting. I'm not expecting that anytime soon. Let's have a look at FET AI. So FET ripped last night, completely ripped, and I've been saying that this is a super bullish chart, massive super bullish chart. In fact, I'll say it again, it's the perfect chart. So we had conversion baseline cross here, followed by a golden cross, coming down, stepping into these. In fact, we dumped into the golden cross, a standard behaviour there. Dumped into the golden cross, and then basically started to walk our way up this moving average here, and basically allowed us to make incremental steps up. Now yesterday kind of took me a little bit by surprise. I mean, I'm holding this one for a long term anyway, so I bought down at these signals down here. I think a lot of people on my Telegram kind of did the same. It is a perfect chart, but that was a 45% move in a single day, quite a big move. So it led me to say, right, well, we've broken above this resistance zone quite fantastically, so let's have a look at the bigger picture. And this is the bigger picture, right? So essentially consolidation since it came onto the market, really. Top, and so this would be considered a top. And now if we look at where we've come down today, we've come down to test that trend line, which used to be, well, I suppose you could call it multi-year. It is multi-year, I suppose. Resistance zone. So when we see this sort of thing, we see this on coins like the ones that we follow anyway. So an example would be, I suppose, EOS and XRP. So when XRP broke out of its multi-year consolidation phase, it spent a little bit of time around there. Basically in what's known as an accumulation phase. Now that might sound crazy, because this one has moved since we got in on this one, which is basically around about this zone here. Since then it's done a 200% or 160%, whatever you want to call it. So it has moved a lot already, but that doesn't mean that the move is over. In fact, if we look at it as far as this situation is concerned, this could be the beginning of now an accumulation zone at this high level, for the inevitable big move up. And I'm talking, surpassing its previous high. This is a newish coin, really. So if we moved up from where we are right now to the top there, roughly 240% from where we are right now. These things aren't impossible. These things are definitely not impossible. But like I say, we've had to zoom out now, as these areas and these resistances were just basically not respected at all. Just went straight through them. So now we're looking at things in a bigger way, and this would be the thing that we're looking at. We're looking at this now being this consolidation could possibly be over. It's not over yet. We could come back into that zone, and if we did, fair play. Fair play to it. It's still a very bullish chart. The trend is very much in play, but what we'd want to see now is over. We don't want this to hang around at these levels too soon. We'd have to be making a bigger, bolder move, at least over the next couple of weeks. We've got 24 days really before this catches up to this area here. So within 24 days, I would very much hope for it to continue with its rally. Otherwise, what we'll be looking at would be the end of this trend for the moment. But that might not necessarily be a bad thing. We could end this trend and begin a new one in an accumulation zone above this descending trend of what could be quite easily now seen as a support zone. So that's how I'm seeing FET AI, and I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm very prepared to continue holding it, considering I've got such a good entry point down here. When we're thinking about what I'm thinking about now is that if this one does play out in this way, in this manner, I stand to make 788% just if I was to retrace it all the way back to where it came from. And when it gets there, who knows where it'll go from there. But again, that's something that we have to talk about once this area here is confirmed. It's not confirmed at the moment, but as far as the trend is concerned, the trend is still in play. So anything is possible, but I would expect it to hang around here for a little bit. After doing 45% last night, I would expect it to hang around there for a bit. And finally, let's have a look at Binance Coin. So the reason I look at this is because I trade my pairs in Binance Coin. I try to accumulate as much Binance Coin as I've got. This bot has basically given me 30 Binance Coin in 10 days, so not too bad, not too shabby. for the last couple of months, basically all my bots have been in Binance Coin because it's been relatively slow and steady and stable, allowing the leading pairs to take the lead, but obviously giving me a nice return back in the form of Binance Coin, which is obviously now rallying again. So I charted this maybe a month or two ago and said that look, by the end of the year, the lowest target I would expect to see Binance Coin is around about $95. That would be the lowest target. Could be 2 or 3 times more than that by the end of the year, but the lowest target would be $95. So I'm still happy with that. We're still talking about what would be about 40% move from where we're at right now by the end of this year. Minimum target, okay, minimum target. So if we're looking at this trend, what we've got moving averages diverging away, and it's quite volatile actually. We've had a giant move up here, come back down, smash through the 200, smash through the 20 simple, the center of the Bollinger Band, to test the green 50, rallied up again, all the way back down to the green 50. Very volatile actually, very volatile. So expecting that kind of volatility to maintain, because it seems extremely volatile in the way it moves. It wouldn't surprise me if we do get a giant dump on this one, and maybe all the way back down to these zones, 44, 45 or so. But this move these last few days has been extremely bullish. As I understand it, they did perform a burn at this level here, and it was one of those buy the rumours, sell the news, and that news got sold into and then bought back up, because fundamentally a burn is good, but yeah, it was dumped into. So yeah, extremely volatile. There's no entry point here, unfortunately, but what there is a nice, strong, healthy trend. Despite it being very very crazy in its pump and it dumps, it's still continuing to move up consistently. So it is a good chart. Let's have a look at the oscillators here. They're all quite good. Let me just check the weekly on this one. They're all really pretty good, to be honest with you. I've got no concerns about this being particularly overbought, even though we are very high right now. And given its behaviour in the past, I probably would expect a pullback of maybe even 10% or so. If Bitcoin were to pull back, for instance, then yeah, we would probably get a sizable dump on Binance Coin. But that's only if Bitcoin decides to dump. It will take the market down with it, and then we just buy these alts back, because so long as Bitcoin dominance is low, alts are the places to be buying back at. So that is basically my overview for you there. If you want to find out more, I've got a Telegram. It's free. You can join in, and I am available on that a fair bit of the time. But if you want to take it one step further, join my Patreon. It's £7.50 a month. You get 2 live streams every week. You bring your charts, bring your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. There's also tutorials about all the stuff that I use and how I use it and what it's used for. So there's in a sense, you get access to tutorial videos as well. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day and take it easy.